I named my album Sweet and Wild because it really represents the walking dichotomy that is me. Part of me, enjoys reading poetry and, sitting under trees. The other part of me likes to ride motorcycles and shoot guns and have a nice cigar every once in a while. And my music really reflects that, so half this album is very up-tempo, outgoing and rock, and the other half is sort of very introspective and poetic and thoughtful. Recording this album was different in a few ways. I approached it where I tried to center the entire recording process around my live performances. I've always sung better live than in the studio, and a lot of what I do in the studio sometimes is I'll try and match what the band is doing instead of the other way around. And I tried to circumnavigate that by starting out with my own recordings at home. So it was just me alone in my studio, my guitar, my voice. I arranged it, picked the tempo, and then I took those tracks to Nashville and we cut bass, drums, and guitar to that solo acoustic track. And that way the band was able to match the spirit and the mood that I had created live and solo acoustic. And then from there I flew back home. I cut all my vocals, background vocals at home. Nathan cut guitars at his studio and he'd send the files electronically. And then I'd send the files via MP3 to my piano player in LA. He'd lay down different keyboard parts I asked for. He'd send it back via MP3. He'd import it into the Pro Tools files. We'd send it to our string player. He'd record it at his home studio, send those files back. And so I was able to almost create a virtual album. Sweet and Mild is the double CD that's available on the deluxe version of Sweet and Wild. Sweet and Mild is an acoustic album of the exact same songs, the exact same sequence as Sweet and Wild, but Sweet and Mild is solo acoustic. So those acoustic demos that I started the record out with, me just and my guitar in my home studio that I built the tracks around. On Sweet and Mild you're going to get to hear those songs solo acoustic the way that I wrote them. This album's been a fun process because I've been able to include fans in the entire process. A lot of these are brand new songs, and so after I wrote them a year ago, I would do a vlog. On Satisfied, I had written the melody and the lyrics, but hadn't gotten the piano part or the guitar part worked out yet, and so I just sang it a cappella because I couldn't figure out the chords yet that I wanted. So they've heard it a cappella, but they've never heard it with a piano or with the band yet. Same thing with What You Are. I was able to play that song right after I wrote it and debut it and share my lyrics of when I wrote I Love You Forever with everybody when I had just written it. And because of Twitter, I'm able to really let people know where the vlogs are and really talk with them about the process. As I looked back through these songs, once I got the album sequenced, I realized a lot of the theme that this entire album is dealing with is figuring out what's important in your life and figuring out how to defend it and make sure that that's what you're standing up for.